Hey? That's brilliant, mate.
Yeah, man, it's like, you know,
I've been after one for ages. I love it.
People like reforming their hands because we've been so used to like this now. And now it's like, just gives it a nice little.
Wish I had one before I dropped my phone, but never mind. Wanker England. Reggae rolls.
Cheap clothing, can't fool me with them posing. Them some respect in every aspect. Check, check. Behind your neck, them fist neck. Some brethren.
Farmer Flav over there. It seems in quite well this one. Know what you're doing? Dodgy geezer!
Fill up your business.
What was that hashtag that Kev was using? Fill your time or something, is it?
Fill your business.
Bloody hot up here today, not a cloud in the sky.
Well, Daniel saw the stone roll along the Babylon. I lie found the weed of wisdom on the grave of Solomon. And stealing of the nation to come to the light, the dog on the reggae icon. In time I told them up, you understand. I'ma tell them Rasta man, wanna too greedy. Crackhead, I'm gonna let it crack fine. Wanna hear me? Come follow me. Wanna too greedy. Crackhead, I'm gonna let it crack fine. Wanna hear me? Come follow me. For me surprise and some fat and find it in the tobacco. And cigarettes again, the whole world cancer. Wanna hear me? Doctor find the cure in a marijuana. And if you're sick and you're not fit and you feel lick the chalwa. And any time you lick it and your bus feel better. Me just load it up and pass it through the window. And then me lick it with me next door neighbor. And when me lick it then the country catch a fire. Him go down on the knee and then him up the say a fire. Socialist can't run and him say more weed in there. So once in a year me give a praises to Jaja. Come listen me so get original master blaster. Wanna too greedy. Can't get them big on the big damn vibe. Wanna hear me? Wanna hear me? Wanna too greedy. Can't get them big on the big damn vibe. Wanna hear me?
Go on, mate. Let's go. Good. Still got the mug I gave you?
Yeah, I got that, man.
I think that was last year.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that, man.
Yeah.
Was.
Cool. Right, that's finished. Hello, Ron, let's take you into glass blowing. Go and have a look at some glass.
Very cool logo.
Yes, it would. Just a small one. Wow.
that's wicked.
Isn't it?
That is
550 quid. That's one thing I ain't got for the shop yet. I've got a few dabberies, so that's about it. I need some bongs and stuff. I know those bongs. People don't bong anymore.
It's about getting like nice pieces.
Yeah, well, I've got Bam Bam's going to blow me some stuff. Nice.
Could be a vegan cow.
Wow.
Could be.
No such thing.
No such thing as a vegan cow. You're right, guys.
Cows are vegan, they eat grass.
I don't know. I joined part of the conversation that was nonsense. I decided to repeat it.
They eat grass, they're all vegan.
They're all vegan. Yeah,
It's
well,
only when
that's
we
what
eat
they
'em.
tell you, isn't it? The real lie is
Yeah,
they're
innit?
munching on humans.
No, that's just real family.
Keep population down.
It is. That's cool. Price is that, guys? 1,500 quid. Bit out of my price range.
Beetlejuice pieces, aren't they? Yeah. Beetlejuice.
15 quid for an ashtray. No, 35, sorry. 35 quid for an ashtray. Fuck me. Who's in the glass on here, anyone? I'm not really. I do think it's cool, and it's it is an art in itself. And at these prices, I need to learn how to do it. Don't lie, James. I know you're in the glass. Yeah, that's cool. I want to see it.
That gives such a nice hit. Bro, can you imagine the flavour coming through such a small little mouthpiece like that?
Yeah, no.
That'd be amazing.
I won't be able to afford any weed though after I bought
No,
it.
exactly, yeah. Right, and then you can't fucking get any wangs.
It's mad. That was Drew. You all know him. That's Drew is sharing. Go and check him out on YouTube. Hey. Did you hear that? That's a Puffco, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not cheap, are they? That's more than the fucking actual Puffco itself.
Yeah.
Look at that, 330 for a Puffco and 600 for a new head on it. Wow.
There's mushroom pictures in there. Wow.
Mushrooms, can you see that? It is good, can't knock that, but fuck me. That's cool. Feed me. Oh, it's got to take some blowing.
Yeah, that's a
Big time. One day when I'm rich, still won't buy one. Definitely some skills going into that. Look at that, Mr. Octopus. Ain't too bad actually, it's only 250. Yeah, it's not too bad though.
The time is just needed. Time is kind of a
Yeah, big time. That's cool.
I can imagine.
Sandy from Basingstoke Cannabis Club. Moonlighting with Photon. Wow. Is that an actual rig? Yeah. Doesn't it? One of the smoke travels all through it. It's got to, isn't it? Yeah, no, that is just class. Wow. Good blowers.
That's what I'm saying. If they keep this venue and then everyone can like keep the word out, this is
It's
amazing.
spread out at the moment, but if it grows, like in
Oh, no,
years
I'm
to
thinking,
come,
imagine
you'll
if
be like
there's-
fucking hell, like room to move. That day,
before medical, so like what's super encouraging is like we had to make our butter, which we weren't cannabis, we had to go find it from a trusted source locally from someone who was growing. This is pre-collected, and then we had to make it all the time until the collectives opened up, and then you could go find something better, like a teacher, and then like, it just completely changed how easy it was for me to medicate and access. And then find that good dose to where I could focus, I could finish my homework, I was able to graduate high school, go to university. I haven't taken any pharmaceutical drugs since I was 15 years old. And it's just been an amazing thing. Like this system was training me to think that something was wrong with me and that I had to do this and I was like less than, I wasn't intelligent. And I smoked cannabis all through college and got amazing marks, and it's built my efficacy to feel good about myself. And cannabis has rebuilt my life inside and out. And the world will tell you that you're less than, and all you gotta do is just like learn about yourself, learn which receptor cells need to be plugged back in. Cannabis has only taught me about all the other plant world. It just points to all the healthy things. Once you start consuming cannabis, your mind starts to learn, and you start to learn about all the other beneficial terpenes and plants and essential oils and herbs. And Maya's masterful at bringing in these symbiotic herbs and formulations into her products and fusing them in, and they all talk to each other really, really well. And it's these stories of like life-changing stories, and I want to encourage you guys, if you have any type of cannabis miracle or just a life-altering experience of like a type of modality, whether it's a nasal spray. So there's the beautiful part about medical is like all these different modalities. There's nasal sprays, there's lozenges, there's all these different things that don't have stigma attached to it. And when people discover these products, and that's what the medical era really, really brings. So I know that right now it's very flower dominant, but when Maya's encouraging you to make your own salve for your pain, make tinctures for yourself. There's all these products that are non-stigma, and when we share education and we share those products, there's high efficacy, high result level, low stigma, and that's a really fast way to accelerate people accepting cannabis in daily use.
Absolutely. When you give someone that has arthritis a topical, like that, they're hooked. And it's not about getting high physically, it's about just treating it for your pain. Maya, like, what are some of your like favorite medical products right now, like in the market? Like, what are your top things?
Well, I think that the high is a side effect that's desirable by many and not by some. So some people will always be candidates for topicals or CBD, and some people may always be candidates for heavy amounts of THC, and everyone can flip and swap in between because we're human beings that are fluid, and this connection with this plant is deeply personal and fluid and ever-changing. So welcoming that evolution and trying new things. And that's one of the reasons why the education piece is so important. So to me, cannabis is a flower, a healing herb, something to engage with self-care, a preventative, a supplement, a superfood. Pretty much every word in between recreational and medical, even though those words are great too. But what about everything in between? So we can find that through topicals. Essential oils, right? So you've heard of the entourage effect? You've heard of the entourage effect? Cannabis is created whole and complete and has so many active constituents that we don't even really know how to quantitate or articulate yet. We don't really know what to look for, or we know what to look for, but we don't know what a lot of them are yet. So there's a lot of this magical mystery still going on. Well, cannabis entourages with other types of terpenes than cannabis terpenes. So like essential oils. Adding an essential oil to your formulation will make a better medicine. Multi-herb formulations. If you want deliberate results, you can make deliberate formulations like lavender and chamomile. Those are two herbs that are really great for nausea and sleep. Guess what? Cannabis is great for nausea and sleep, right? So taking what the plant does and then looking at what other plants do and creating formulations that are really tailored to each person's symptoms or bodies. I think that's how you can make next level medicine. I'm all about superfoods. The cannabis roots, it's a huge part of the plant. It's the heart and brain of the plant. They do not have much attention yet. We've been talking about them for fiber. They're in the materia medica. For thousands of years, people have been doing sitz baths after birth with them. They won't get you high. There's a whole cluster of terpenes in there that are not found anywhere else in the plant. Things that are like bitters, these things are good for digestion, right? So let's look at the whole entire plant, even the hemp plant, especially the hemp plant. You can say it like, that's a whole plant medicine when it's in its full form. There are terpenes in there, there's active constituents, there's a whole bunch of things we don't know about yet that we can't measure. And it's this whole plant synergy that makes that next level medicine.
I feel like that's like a really hard thing to follow up with. I think for Craig, is there any trends that you're really seeing right now in the medical field or anything?
So edibles and topicals are huge in the UK. There's a brownie maker, a biscuit maker, lots of candies being made in the UK. Edible makers are starting to realise that there's some that are a cut above the rest. Topical makers know what they're doing. We've had some people given us products before in the past, and they've just sat there for a couple of days and gone mouldy. When they're topicals or their drinks, and sort of okay, that needs to be looked at. Patients are getting these and they're not being aware of this because there's no sell-by dates. So consumer safety standards is something we're trying to introduce through the clubs. Even though we're not a legal entity, we're legally registered, we're not a legal entity to regulate anyone or anything like that, but we're trying to introduce self-regulation so people can do it safely when they are looking after their communities. And when we're in touch with each other, we're all, we look at each other in the eye, we know that these people aren't deliberately going out to screw people over. So it's about having an association, all working to the same standards and the rules, so there's a level playing field. And then when the government are, a lot of what our policy work does is we go, all right, okay, how did they clamp down on our people there? How did they clamp down on people in that country, in this city? And then look at those, how can we counteract that in our policy work beforehand? So we can give guidance to clubs to say, look, we're working with a lab now, you can get your products tested there before you give them to the patients. Everything can be labelled and everyone can be advised safely. There's informed consent with medicine, we're not prescribers, but when the doctor's giving you medicine, they should tell you about the side effects of them. If this particular strain, like some people I know get really racy anxiety off of sour diesel, that is not good for them at a certain time of the day. Or if they've got PTSD and they know that sour diesel doesn't work for them. If you know sour diesel has been used in the breeding of that strain, as the bud tender, you should be able to say to them, hey, avoid that strain, this one might not be so good for you. Because we've got notes about the patients, our members, we know what works for them, and we know what breeders or growers that grow the right strains for them within the club. So it's about making sure people are looked after properly, not just on a personal level, but if you're encouraging people to go out there and grow, make sure that you're giving them the support there in your flow as well. If the worst does happen to them, or if they're setting up and they haven't got a clue, help them on their way so they can find their feet and not make so many mistakes. There's nothing worse than seeing people make oil out of some bud they just really carefully grow and then mess it up, not be able to use it, completely turn it into CBN. While that could be good for something, might not be what they were looking for. So I definitely think that standards for edibles and topicals is something that people need to start looking at. I guess you've had to go through the whole journey there in California from making it in the kitchen to now you've got to have regulations and standards for everything. How's that been hard to transition for people?
Definitely. When the regulations hit under Prop 64, we had a number of formulations we had already been making. Some of these recipes for over 10 years, and we had to let a lot of them go for various reasons. For example, in California, you can't have anything that needs to be refrigerated or frozen, so it has to be stable. You can't go over a certain potency. It was like a peanut butter rice truffle that we used to call Queen 215. And they're still legendary and RIP, we had to let them go. But I'll let you know as you go forward. One of the things some of my partners thought I was crazy for was hiring food scientists, because I knew that when the lab testing really kicked into gear, if we didn't have a saleable product, we weren't going to have anything to go to market with, and we really wouldn't have a business at that point. So a lot of cannabis people are not professional food manufacturers. They're people that love this plant and want to make these products accessible for people and understand how to infuse through trial and error and literally failing our way to success. So as that transition happens, I would suggest and encourage everybody to ask for help from professionals. Go to the manufacturing world. Who's doing what you're doing already without cannabis? Talk to them about mechanizing your machine line, means of consumption versus means of production. As you grow and as you evolve, find stabilizers. Find the best stabilizers to increase your shelf life. Find professionals who actually know what to do without cannabis. And you basically take that information over to your trade and add cannabis.
I want to jump in real fast on his comment about sour diesel. He used an example. So first, I think it's really important for us to really, really revisit the endocannabinoid system, and then use that as an inspiration for us to maybe revisit our other systems that we learned about in school, like our nervous system and our circulatory system. And how many people know their blood type? Who knows their blood type here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people are common. 7. They didn't want to be. I started counting, and then more people were that, right? Okay, so your blood type, there's 5 blood barriers, right? So there's blood barriers, there's vessels in your nose, so your sinuses, so people snort things and it goes into their bloodstream, right? Like some are not good to snort, and nasal sprays, we take medication through that blood barrier. It's a very universal, fast way to medicate through that blood barrier. The second one is our mucosa membrane underneath our tongue. So when you absorb things through your mucosa membrane, you're not digesting. So there's no metabolization happening. Okay, so depending on your blood type and your condition or your symptom, that's going to change the bioavailability of the cannabinoids and the terpenes, right? So some people love tinctures. It's just, but they don't, it's like subconscious choice, because most people don't know their blood type and what happens to the chemistry of your blood type and these properties when you consume them, okay? So the third blood barrier would be in our stomach when we eat them, right? So we're absorbing it into the blood barrier, but that happens after metabolization begins in the liver and the small intestine. So depending on your blood type, whichever strain or whichever cannabinoid or terpene profile in that edible, that's going to determine your experience. There's absolutely no research happening in the university level to educate people. So first, we don't know about our bodies. We don't know our blood type in mass as far as a generalization. And we don't really know which blood barrier would create a response. So the next part that we have to figure out is our olfactory, which is our smelling sense. It's super powerful, and we all have a bias based on our blood type. My blood chemistry tells me when I smell something if this is gonna go well, if this is bioavailable to my body or not. So when you're taking leftovers out of the fridge, you smell it, and immediately you know this is not gonna be bioavailable for my blood type. And you throw it away, right? And so these things will begin to unfold as we learn. But this is things I'm sharing these things to encourage you. There's so much for all of us to learn about ourselves, about the plant, about which strain. So the one thing I was going to say exciting about California cannabis products is she's not going to say it about her own products, so I'm going to say it. One of my favorite products is Ohm Edibles Epsom Salt Bath. And now we're going to talk about the transdermal blood barrier. So now this is going through our skin, our largest organ. So she created this wonderful product. You have the magnesium from the Epsom salt. You're opening up your pores and you're infusing these wonderful essential oils and mineral compounds all together at once, relaxing all the pain and muscle. It's like one of my favorite absolute products, and it's like, it's something that I could give to all of my aunts, all of my grannies, anyone, like no one would turn this down and be like, I'm not using that. It's like one of the most like entry-level products to share with someone. It's one of my favorite wellness products, and I just like, she's gonna be humble and say that, but it's absolutely, and I tell people about that product. And then her other company, Mayan Whoopie, I have gifted so many people this rub, this salve, like construction workers that have like really, like you can see their hands are swollen and painful. They rub this salve on their hands, and in minutes, the combination of herbs and especially the white willow bark just like removes all this like arthritic joint pain, and it's one of the most amazing products I've seen. And the last thing that comes out of California is a test that you can take, and it will tell you where your receptor cells, and it'll help you find genetic markers. So as all this information starts to unfold, you can figure out what would be the best strain, which blood barrier would be the best way that you could accept this. But no matter what, the responsibility is on all of us as individuals to really educate ourselves on all of those things.
I have to interrupt. That was really good. I have to interrupt because I'm so surprised because we've talked about this a few times. I was like waiting for you to say the last one, and you didn't, which I was like, so we have like the biggest contest in the world at the Emerald Cup, and a few years ago, we have like a topicals category, right? And someone entered a suppository, and we were like, what? Kind of like confused because we were like, wait, that's not really a topical, like if it's not an edible, like what category does this go into? And that's why I was like,
yeah, I'm sorry, I was trying to be mindful of my time when I edited the fifth blood barrier, which is actually, which I was surprised that during the cannabis medical area, I mean the 215 area in California, you guys, if I had an inoperable lung tumor or an inoperable anything, I would immediately medicate with rectal suppositories. So when the nurses give babies all kinds of medicine through the rectum, and that blood barrier, when you absorb through that blood barrier, there's no adrenal load. There's absolutely, your adrenals and your hormones have no taxing. There's absolutely no stress on your digestive system. And then there's like split like research on it, but they think that delta 9 THC converts immediately into delta 11, and that your body absorbs 70% more of the medicine without going psychoactive. So you can give someone, a child or an aging person, you can give a coma patient, you can give them a high dose THC and absolutely cause no stress on the adrenal load or a psycho stress or any type of trauma. So it's a really, really powerful, potent way to medicate at a high level. So like you can attack it from several blood barriers. But that's one of the products that I think should be, it's because it's like taboo. We're talking about rectums and poop, right? So, but we have to get to a level of maturity where we accept our human anatomy as science, and we just learn that and then go through that, right? So there just has to be a level of maturity and acceptance. But thank you for saying that. But I would really encourage everyone to really explore all the blood barriers that THC and CBD can absorb into it, and what products can be developed for each of those blood barriers.
So, since we went there, that's the thing. I call it cannabis hydrotherapy. Hydrotherapy is healing through bathing in water, and you can accomplish a lot through baths and hydrotherapy. Cannabis hydrotherapy deserves a category of its own. It's a totally different form of consumption. It's far beyond a topical with all the traditional benefits of a traditional topical. Totally different than an edible, and it's actually because of the pollen. And for ladies, a sixth form of consumption, the yummy, okay? We want to go there, let's go there. Below the belt medication, something that's not easy for people to talk about, especially as women. One of our companies, actually, what Maya is for women on their moon cycle. So it's like cannabis is a tool for women on their moon cycle. Women have cycles within their bodies, and it's very powerful what we can awaken to when we learn how to work with them. Okay? You have receptors. You have cannabinoids. There's locks and keys. The closer you can get to each and every receptor, the more lock and key you're getting, and that's every place cannabis can help. When you put your whole body into a bath and enjoy cannabis hydrotherapy, the colon is absorbing from the moment that you're born to the moment that you die, as long as it's properly functioning, and for ladies who have your yoni as well. Cannabinoids are antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral, and antimicrobial. Cannabinoids have been shown to kill cancer in many different studies. There are more cannabinoid receptors on cancer cells than healthy cells. That's why, unlike chemotherapy, it doesn't kill the healthy cells, it just kills the cancer cells. They have shown that in studies before. So, long story short, make as much contact as you can and consume in every single way. And a cannabis bath is a way to hit all of the receptors without eating it.
But if you do eat it, something you should know, like diet is obviously really important with your health in general. So don't just think you can take cannabis and like this is going to heal me. Sort of like you have to change your diet as well. Like Ag's here, his wife had cancer last year, completely changed her diet, went completely vegan. He's still a vegan, but he sort of like introduced that with the cannabis regimen as well. Things like probiotics are really important, and the science behind that is things like lactobacillus actually increase CB2 receptors in the gut. So if you're using edibles and you're, CBD, THC in there, whatever cannabinoids, you're more in the same, scientific principle. If you're more receptors there, you're going to be able to, get more sites hit if you're taking those. You've got good gut bacteria anyway.
Diet is definitely a tremendous element of this whole conversation, and I will say that I feel like all five of us are very passionate about this, and we're going to be over here probably nerding out in the corner talking about this exact same topic for the rest of the day. So if anybody has any questions, or anybody wants to talk any further, we will totally be here today. It's been an honor to be here representing California, and we really appreciate everybody for attending this seminar. We have time for maybe one question if anybody has one. If not, okay, we got one, so that's perfect. The guy in the back with the...
Thank you, hopefully you can hear me.
He never had morphine again, fentanyl again, lorazepam again. He never had the anti-sickness again. That was it. It was done. So immediately, cannabis is an exit drug. It's not a gateway drug. It's an exit drug. It took him off all those things. And then this happened. His bandage came off his fingers. The doctor saw this and started panicking and telling me he wasn't dying anymore. And I said, hang on a second. Hang on. You told me 5 days ago there's nothing in his bone marrow. We need to do a blood test. Okay, go on then, do a blood test. But if it's not in his bone marrow, it's not in his blood. And they came back. And 5 days previously, his neutrophil count, neutrophils are part of the white blood cells that fight infection the most. His neutrophil count was 0.005. After 5 days of nothing but cannabis, it was 0.25. It's very small, but it's there. And it was enough for them to shred the do not resuscitate forms. It was enough for them to start talking to the hospital and saying, this kid's not dying. They called it a miracle. They called it a miracle. I didn't. I knew. But I couldn't say anything because of social services. I couldn't open my mouth. Not only would they have taken my son, they would have taken his younger brother, and the worst thing would have happened with it, he would have taken the cannabis away, which is now clearly the only thing working for him. So I had to keep my mouth shut. It's a miracle. But unfortunately, things got worse. And because Darren, and I'm really sorry, Darren, this is the first picture, nobody's ever seen this picture before, but it's something that's so poignant to me. Because cancer's one thing, but when your child is refusing to eat because they want to die, because being told the promise that you're going to die, and then you don't die, but then the doctors are saying to you, could drop down dead next week, we don't know. We have no idea, we've never seen this before. So Darren went on a mission to starve himself to death because he didn't want to live anymore not knowing what was going to happen to him. And there was nothing I could seemingly do. So Darren, unfortunately, you can kind of tell by his elbow there how skinny he is as well. He got down to 24 kilos, and for 6 months I begged him and begged him and begged him to eat, but nothing. Until eventually the hospital said to me, look, we're going to sedate him, we're going to section him, and we're going to force feed him. And I said, look, can you not just give him some mental health care? This is really, how can you expect a child of 14 years old to go through that and not have some semblance of distress? And they said he didn't qualify for any mental health care in this country. So it was left to me to try and find a way to get him to eat. Now, thankfully, a friend of ours had a villa in Spain, and they said, come over to Spain. So we went to Spain, and there we met another quite prevalent cannabis activist who gave us 1 meal of the RSO, FICO, whatever you want to call it. And he said to me, look, just put a tiny bit on, I don't know, a crisp, a cracker, something, get him to eat something. And so the following morning I did, a tiny little bit. And of course I had no qualms giving him some black oil that some strange guy had given me, because I've seen him off his face on ketamine and pethidine and fentanyl and morphine and opioids and sleeping. I've seen him on every pharmaceutical drug going. And cannabis had already saved his life once, but I didn't think actually about continuing to give him larger doses to try and get him to eat. It just wasn't, the cannabis wasn't making him eat at that point. But this concentrated stuff, I was up in the kitchen and I was just prepping some lunch, and I kind of shouted down, I'm making some lunch, does anybody want anything? And I expected the usual grunt that I'd had for the last 6 months. And Darren shouted up, make me loads, I'm starving. And got me right in the feels. And so I did, I made him some lunch. And his food of choice was pistachio nuts, and he ate for 12 hours that day. 12 hours of most beautiful sound you'd ever hear. And the next day, 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours. To the point where he was just non-stop eating. We were taking him down to the restaurant, didn't know what was going on. We were taking him down to the restaurant, and he was very skinny and very pale. He's very high there in this one. And the restaurant were looking at him and looking at me going, you sure he's going to eat all this? I'm like, yeah, he'll eat all this fine. And he was monstering it away, and it was amazing. And we brought him back to England after 2 weeks in Spain, and the consultant sat me down, took Darren to one side and said, my God, his mental health is improved by 300%. And I said, I know. And she said, but he doesn't want to die anymore. And I said, I know. And she said, he's put on 4 kilos. I went, I know. And she said, my God, the holiday did me well for good. Yes, it was the holiday. And I'm sticking to that story. Until a couple of years later, where I felt strong enough that I was able to come out with the story. Because every single day since June 2014, Darren has taken 150 milligrams of a whole plant extract, including THC and CBD in balanced ratios, and the recovery has been absolutely incredible. So everything that should be wrong with him is not wrong with him. So the hand that he should never feel again. 2 weeks after we came back from Spain, he started to tell me about his hand was hurting. And your hand can't hurt, you have no nerves. They've cauterized the nerves. There's no way you can feel your hand. I'm telling you, my hand's hurting. I've since learned it's called neurogenesis, where actual THC specifically can cause neural pathways to regrow around damaged areas. So we see people with strokes recover completely after time. And the same was happening to his hand. Now he has full range of movement in his hands. It's only really the fingertips he can't feel, and he's an amazing chef, so it's not done him too bad. And I've been on TV, I've written a book, and we have made Darren go into speaking arrangements himself. He's now becoming a man of his own, and our message really, more than anything, is that just because they tell you there's nothing more they can do, that doesn't mean there's nothing more that you can do. And so, since then, I have been come to by many people who found themselves in the same situation that I was in. And I had a moral obligation, I felt, to continue the work and to help those that came to me. Because if the person that I'd gone to initially had turned around and said no, I don't even want to think about where I would be. So I now have a moral obligation and a duty that when people come to me, I source them the best oils that I can find, I can make, I get it tested, everything that I work very closely with my friends in the front, and we now support hundreds of people every month that come to us because I've spread my story, and we help them get access to the very thing that I know works, because I've seen it, not just with him, I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times since. And so this was my talk. It's a lot shorter than I usually do it, so I think that pictures has really helped me. But I guess what I really want to stress is that we can all do something. It doesn't just have to be someone like me, or someone like JJ, or somebody like the other people that are helping. We can all help, and the way that we do that is to stop the stigma, and to grow our own, and help our neighbours around us, and to teach people to grow, and for the... Right? Because they're not going to give it to us. They're not going to allow us to have cannabis in the way that we want it and we need it. They sure as hell aren't going to give me what I need to give him every single day to keep him well and recovered. I want to talk a bit more about his recovery actually, because there's other things that was supposed to be wrong with him by now. He had what's called avascular necrosis in his right femur, which is basically over steroid use, caused the blood flow not to get to the larger bones, because obviously he was on a huge amount of steroids from age 10 to 14. And they told me that he'd need a knee replacement if he were to survive, because avascular necrosis is irreparable. Necrotic bone is irreparable. Devin went in for an MRI scan about a year ago, and I was called into the doctor who said, Mrs. Blackwell, I believe you're under the impression that Darren had avascular necrosis. And I said, no, I'm not under the impression, I have the scans, would you like to see them? And he said, well, you know, I don't see this in any of my other patients. And I said, none of your other patients are taking cannabis oil. And he said to me, I knew you would say that word. And I said, no, I'm going to keep saying it until you listen, because he had 60 patients outside, and if it worked for him, it would work for them. And as doctors, we need to get them to start looking at this, and doctors need to start asking more and more, and insisting that they're going to be prescribing this because they know that it works and they know that it's the best thing for the patient. This isn't about corporations. This isn't about making money for people who don't care about the plant. This is about making sure the people get what they need when they need it. And they need it right at the beginning of a cancer diagnosis. Any diagnosis of any illness, that's when they need cannabis, not at the end. I'm tired of seeing people come to me when they've got 3 weeks to live. It's by and large too late by then. But what we can offer in palliative care, because I saw it myself with my son, that for palliative care, cannabis, there's nothing better. It gives people a death that they deserve, one with dignity, one where they can be awake and alive and with their family until the last minute. I've had people come to me and say, do you know, I reached out to my brother who I haven't spoken to for 20 years because cannabis has done something to my mind. And it's building bridges between people. It's the spiritual element that we see most of, and it's the spiritual element that helps most really in palliative care. But to die a death of dignity with no pain, we all deserve that, and cannabis is, I can't, there's nothing better than cannabis for anything. Cannabis can sort out everything, everything. So before I throw it out to questions, because I would love some questions, please. I know that I've missed an awful lot. How long have I got left, Anush? Oh, very brilliant. Usually I talk for hours and hours, but I think the pictures have really helped me. But I really want some questions back. And anything you want to ask me, anything that you think I've missed. But before I do that, I would like to introduce my son, Darren Blackwell. I'm going to ask him to stand down. Because without him and without the journey, without cancer and all of that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't know about cannabis and its miraculous properties, and I wouldn't have been able to help all the people I have done since him. So he is really the reason why I'm here. And I just carry on the torch for all the people that have stood behind us and before us, all the pioneers in America or everywhere else, all the people that have been fighting fighting for this plant for such a long time. And what I don't want to see is I don't want to see these people who have worked their asses off with the blood, sweat and tears of the grassroots movement to have some corporations come in and say, thanks for your 15, 30 years of work, we'll have that. No, that's not going to, I'm going to try and stop that anyway, I can't promise I will, but not on my watch. So does anyone have any questions? No, that's good, I'll go, thank you.
What happened to his knees?
I say vascular necrosis was his knees, yeah, so...
Do you know how it does it? Go on.
Because, give it to Phil, because they go on Phil, don't hold the mic for like half an hour again though, right? Okay, come on, put a timer on him.
Edinburgh University, I can't remember the year, but they found out that cannabis regulates bone growth, density and development. Cannabis prevents osteoporosis in older people if you give them cannabis. If you give younger people cannabis, it can cause osteoporosis in younger people. So when I had my arms chopped in half and plated back together, cannabis was my answer because it regulated the bone growth, density and my healing. So when I was in Parliament, you mentioned his knees never healing. It's like, boom, Edinburgh University. Cannabis regulates bone growth, density and development.
Thank you, Phil. And the evidence is there. This is the thing, the evidence is there. And I go into the doctors with him every time. They hate me now, actually. His doctor won't see me. Because I sit there and I go, explain this. I've slapped his hand on the desk and go, come on, you told me this is irreparable. How does this work? I don't know. I'll tell you. It's called neurogenesis. I slapped my book on the table and I said, you need to read this. And the doctors don't want to know. And it's frustrating because, you know, Darren, unfortunately for him, is that he shows cannabis as a preventative because he still takes it now because he has his own bone marrow back. The bone marrow that harbored the 2 cancers, that's what is inside his body now. I'm not going to risk waiting for that to come back to find out that cannabis was keeping it away. The recovery now that he's still going through, it's still recovering him. He's repairing from things that he should never have repaired from. He's now going to what they call, what's it called, where they do delayed onset effects of chemotherapy. So delayed onset, so 6 to 10 years he should have cataracts, he should have heart problems, he should have liver failure, he should have all these things wrong with him. They're looking at him, they're testing him, and he's in better condition than he was pre-transplant, and they're scratching their heads. And I'm not, I'm saying cannabis, and they're putting their fingers in their ears. Frustrating.
Very frustrating, very frustrating. Has anyone else got any questions at all? I did see some other hands.
What advice would you give to the people if they're in a similar position like a family or something?
So initially, all I'd love to say to people is don't wait until you're ill. Everybody needs cannabis now. We've all got an endocannabinoid system, so start feeding it. Don't wait until you're sick. Prevention is far better than cure. But we don't live in a world like that, and at the moment we are finding obviously people coming. We're finding people coming a lot earlier than too late now. A lot of people are, I've just been diagnosed, brilliant, come, I want you because fantastic. When they come with very few weeks left to live, it's very difficult. So I would advise, as soon as you find yourself with a serious diagnosis, seriously look at your diet. We are what we eat. And that's not a myth, we are what we eat. You put poison and plastics and horrible nasty things in, don't expect to get anything good out. Okay, so that's the first thing. Sort your diet out and then add cannabis, because cannabis can only do so much. And if you're putting McDonald's away and you're having cannabis, don't complain when the cannabis doesn't work. It's not cannabis' fault that you can't, you know, keep yourself healthy. So we have to give cannabis everything we possibly can to help it help us. So it starts with our diet, it starts with that. Look after yourself. That's the best advice I can give you, is really look after yourself, try and prevent anything. Hello.
Have you had anybody approach you about Marfan's syndrome?
Sorry, say that again?
Marfan's, do you know Marfan's syndrome?
I haven't heard that.
It's a degenerative disease that affects the connective tissue.
Okay.
And we have a couple of people in our family that are suffering from this. And I wondered if we'd had anybody.
Okay, I haven't personally. JJ might have done, but what I would say is if they're mammals, they have an endocannabinoid system, so it will work. How much it will work and how well it will work will determine lots of other variables, because as I say, cannabis can help, but if you've had 6 months of 6 years of chemotherapy and you're all, you know, we've got a lot of work to do. But for someone in your position with, you know, family members like that, I would definitely say try it. What have you got to lose? No worries. And if you want to come and talk to me after, in fact, Jadie's going to come and talk to you now.
Cool. I think we've got time for one more. If anyone. Yeah. One last one.
Well, no, so was Alex.
So we were talking earlier about speaking your truth and spreading the message. But a lot of people are quite scared to do that with repercussions of their career, and I think especially when someone actually next to me works in a medical setting as well, around doctors and things. So what would your advice be as to be true to yourself, but also maintain a career? But would you say be vocal about it and kind of do that, and if there are repercussions, then that probably a good fit for you?
In that, because obviously we do have to consider it. I'm very lucky. At the point where I go cannabis, I had nothing to lose, and I still really have nothing to lose. There's nothing they can do to me that's worse than what I've already been through. So, but for people who have jobs and things like that, what I say is the advice I give to anyone is plant a seed. You won't lose a job for planting a seed. Plant a seed in the minds and let them go their own way, because they'll always remember you for planting that seed. And just tell anybody that you can. Just like, did you know about this? Oh, put this article here, and this here, and plant that seed.
Cool. Thank you, Kelly. I think we've got to round it up now, but this is a packed house, by the way. Yeah.
Oh,